first when I first came on, and kind of like this was our first draft of, oh, this is what it's going to look like. So then Michelle, at one point we talked about, and I don't know that she asked me per se, or we just thought it, we both agreed that it was a great idea, is I just put a policy review timeline together of each step, because she was like, at some point, does anybody else know what the process is besides,
Right.
you know, you? So I just kind of put this is what we do, and then I thought it would just be good for all four of us to look over it. Rosanna already looked over it. I had her look at it when I first made it.
Okay.
But just so, is there anything we're missing? Is there anything we should add? Because we haven't looked at our practice since we started, and I feel like we finally kind of got a groove. And so, is there anything we'd like to tweak based on what we're doing?
Well, I guess right off the bat, and that is, I believe, the board welcomes and invites student, staff, and community. But at what point do, I know the staff, but what about the students? When do they give feedback? Like, how is that gathered?
So initially we talked about pulling them and doing like focus groups, but what has happened is they participate in the survey. So when they get the survey, they, you know, and then they're talking to their parents, and so. But that was one of the things that I thought of, like the dress code. Would it? I mean, I know we pulled in all of several administrators and then asked parents to reach out to kids. Would that have been something that you guys would have, like, if we do this again, because we're going to look at dress code annually, do we pull a focus group annually, or is it better served that it's funneled through the parents?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I still think they should have a voice of some sort. I mean, even when the parents came, they still referred to the conversations that they had with their kids, you know, regarding the dress code. I mean, ultimately, the parents got to buy the clothing, right? But I still think it is appropriate for them to have say in those types of things.
So when we do that through a focus group, or do we do it through the survey, and then like specifically to the high school kids, like we're asking the administrator to make sure that they have access, like, because it would only be if you know, they get the Skylar message saying if they're signed up for that. So that is something that I thought about, is there, should we be more explicit as far as what our student access is, as far as their voice?
Yeah, I think the survey thing is great. You know,
but do we make a separate one that just goes to students and that funnels through the principals?
I think it just goes to every, like, whatever we're doing with the parents would be my thing. And then I don't know, I haven't looked at any of those, so I have no idea what the form looks like, or maybe I haven't, I don't remember. But is there a drop down that people identify, are you student, parent, staff? Okay, and they just identify I'm a student and blah, 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 they put it in
there. But we're not getting a lot of student.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as they have the opportunity.
Yep. So we have a drop down, because you can say community member, all of that.
All right, so that's, I mean, as long as they have the ability, you know, whether they take advantage of that or not. And I know in the past some students have on different topics, you know, they've even come and addressed the board, so that's great, you know. And sometimes we might think as adults that this policy would really affect the students, and they pick some policy we would have never thought of.
Right. That's why that's in every single survey. Anybody that gets that Skylar has access to it, and there's a drop down on all of those. Yeah. And then the last question is on there specific to if you want follow up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's fine, as long as. No, I really would like to know if maybe we could reach out to Coeur d'Alene. I would like to know when they put their policies out, or maybe even ask Lynn if because she did it so long. When they put their policies out for public input, like what did that process look like, and how much information were they gathering from the public? Do they gather identifiable information? Is it completely anonymous?
That's
Is
a
it
good question.
Yeah, I just and I know Spokane does it too, but I know Coeur d'Alene's really good about. I mean, they publish it in the newspaper and everything, especially if it's a big issue kind of policy. I would just be curious as to what
their process is.
Yeah, their process is and what their forms look like, or if they can share any of that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because this is a good time to make some tweaks, because
Yeah.
we kind of found a groove, and so if we want to add more, tweak more, this is a good
Or maybe
time.
we'd like what we're doing,
Yeah.
and but it's good to know, what.
It's a good systems check.
Yeah.
I remember one of the schools, and I can look back and figure out which one it was, but one of those schools that I had looked at, who used board docs, I think it was.
It has the
has the
input.
whole policy,
Yeah.
Thing. I could look at their website also just to compare, to see how that process is.
Yeah.
Because it's a link, and then you go in there and that you provide feedback or
And
whatever.
it all stays attached, yeah. And I haven't gotten a chance to get very thorough in board books, documents, and all of that. I did give Michelle the access, so she, when she has time, can try and tweak whatever, see if it's even available for tweak. I did tell her whatever she changes affects everybody, so. Gotta remember what button you click.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think
That
this
would be great.
looks fine. The only other thing I'm wondering, I mean, we know that all these personal names exist now, but maybe in the future they don't. I
Yeah.
wonder if we change them to clerk, assistant super.
Okay,
Well, and here's
yeah.
the thing is, I mean, the assistant soup's job isn't necessarily to run this policy committee, or is that, yeah, I don't know, or do we just say, don't really have it, and it's a little bit different
Trying to
policy.
get rid
It's
of me,
just,
Ramona.
yeah.
She doesn't want me working.
No. But
Maybe
anyway,
she's just trying to lessen your workload.
Yeah, I can change that out if you feel like titles would be better than first names.
I mean, we know who all these people are, and all these
Yeah.
people exist now. And this might be good to keep anyways now, but maybe
But I
there's.
can always have an official
There you go.
draft.
Yes, yes, that would be in some manual or
Yep.
book or something. I don't know. Maybe the policy manual would be a good place to keep it.
Yep.
And then we have to remember that if one's updated, the other's updated too.
Right. I think at the point when Rosanna gets some info from Coeur d'Alene and some of those other districts, we can pull this back up and just look
Yeah.
through and see if do we like ours, do we want to tweak, do we want to merge, what does that look like? I think it was just good to kind of put it all on paper, like what we're
Yes.
actually doing, so it can be replicated.
Okay. Okay, then that's approved. Okay, so after it's approved and all of that, and how now do we notify the people that gave input or whomever? Do we send a Skyalert back out or something saying?
We go off of the board meeting, it was approved, and then we update it on the district website. We don't do a follow-up. This is the final draft. We could do that though.
Yeah.
A final Skylert. We
Yeah.
are just being protective of Skylerts because
Yeah.
feedback has been so.
Yes, I agree. So maybe we just post it on the district's Facebook page. I don't know.
Okay.
And we let them know that
Final. I'm just gonna say final communication, and we can talk about what that
Yeah,
final communication is. Because I know, like Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, like they'll do these are the policies up for review, and then when these will be the final drafts, but it's just linked into the website.
Mhm.
So
Right.
and so that's why we didn't do it, because we already link them into the website. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so. But if we do some like a Facebook, these are the final. I don't know.
or just this. These are the
These are the drafts these were the policies approved on
Yeah.
this board meeting.
kind of thing, and there could be just a link to the. See, that's really, I guess, when Dave was right, Trustee Quimby, that really is a time when the board needs a Facebook page because it's board business,
Right.
but who's
Are
going to
we-
run that, you know?
Or I thought we were looking into doing that.
Yeah, they were, yeah, I mean,
We're like, I'm out.
yeah, I don't know who's, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
But anyway, somehow, just so they know that that's, you know, sort of a final end of the process would be,
I'll add that in there and then just highlight it so the
Yeah.
next time, because then we can talk about. I mean, if we want to get out to the mass, I think we do the Skylert, but being protected, we can just talk about what
Yeah.
that, because then
at least somewhere there's a final,
right, that's a good. Mm-hmm.
you know, definite end to this timeline.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
All right.
so to this policy, just looking at, so that we can add that you
Yep.
wanted 1303, so it had 3295, I added 3290P,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the only change we wanted.
Oh, okay, there it is, yep, and both of them, okay. Yep, that's fine. And these really, I mean, they're administrative, but I guess we just, for openness sake, we just take them back, I guess, to the board and say these are.
And so then I'll move that, and then 4175, we added 3295 because it just had P.
Yep,
So then my question for you, and this is 3575, so this only applies to this policy, this one. 3575, I'm looking at it upside down. Okay.
Yep.
So student data privacy and security, on this policy, it's 3575.
okay,
For us, it was labeled 3275. So it's identical.
but mislabeled.
Well, or ISBA
changed.
changed it, but
Yeah.
it's labeled here, but on ours it's 3275. So I was wondering, could I just change that to 3575? Because then our annual notices will be dialed in.
Yeah, they all need to stay the same, so what, do we have a 3575?
We don't. There
Okay,
is no 3575.
okay,
But
so
I'm
then
gonna
we're
double
safe
check
there,
that.
yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, so that definitely, again, another admin thing, but yeah, we would definitely need to make the board aware of, yeah, no, we go from 3570 to 3580.
Okay, my computer's taking a while.
And that's probably why they slipped it in there.
Right. So I felt like
Yes,
these two can go, and then I could add 3575 and just say it's a switch over, so that we would add 3 more policies to the 17th.
yeah.
Are you
So-
good with that?
Yeah, so we need to change, oh, we did change, that is the correct one.
This is the correct one, but I need to change that. It's not on this one. It's not one of the annual review policies.
Didn't we say that these should probably match?
We said to a few of them, but they're
Okay.
not all identical.
Okay.
Like, cause this one has 1600, this one doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But we felt like there
So
were.
these are required, this is what goes to the parents.
These are the
so-
notices,
okay.
this is the reviewed policies.
Yep.
But we felt like if we're gonna have 3290, and we wanted student
Right,
dress
yeah,
on both of
yeah.
them, so there were a few we wanted universal, but, so this one is done and this one is done, but then, I can really fast, Rosanna,
Yep.
add 3275 and just say that we're switching it to 3575,
Yeah,
so
just
that
to
it matches
remember.
this one. Are we good with that?
Yep,
Yep.
so that it
Okay.
matches, so renumber 3275 to 3575,
Mhm.
so that it is the same as 4175 listed.
In here, is this where you want me to rename it?
I'm just adding right now,
Well, we need to rename the policy. Yes. How did we do this before? So I guess what we need
so
is,
it's 3275 is the one right,
Right.
there.
I think what we need though is a directory that's 3575, and the 3275 needs to go inside of it, inside of that whatever that history folder that we made.
Historical version?
Yep. So we have to do it. Yep.
So do you understand what she's saying?
I
So
think
drag the
drag
go-
the 3275 into here.
Correct.
And then once I create this historical, that'll be,
So did we actually change it and we just never uploaded it to the district website? Is that what happened?
I'm not sure, but
Go
Will you
ahead.
click on there?
this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Can we pull up the
One on the
PDF
website?
one?
Oh.
No, the PDF one. And scroll down.
But still the.
So they did change it. No, because it says 3275. Okay, will you go out of it really fast? I'm sorry.
No problem.
So they put it under 3575. So then look at the very top one where it says 3575.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed there, but they never took it to the board.
Right. So that's ISB model.
And they're identical. I checked.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would just bring the 3575 to the board. We would have to go ahead and put our adopted date. I would leave all that correct. Just change the. Like we've been doing, you know, go through all the naming convention, create the directory, drag the 3275 into the historical of 3575, so it all.
And Rosanna, just on
Stays
here, I just
together.
added down here. So we've already had 14, 15, 33. You've already taken care of that. So I just put 1303, and I'll name these so they look more the same. Here's 4175, and then we're going to add 35. So these will be the 7 policies that go to this next board meeting.
Got
Is
it.
that helpful?
Yes, ma'am. It sure is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna take these off. Okay, so we got that done. Do we want to tackle attendance?
Sure.
I didn't print it off because it was in our
No,
other
that's
stuff.
fine. Yep, that's fine.
But I
I was
did.
trying to look at this. The response for the dog.
Oh yeah. Will you pull up where it says 30/50 attendance policy?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's where I added in. Okay. Policies and
Okay, we'll go back now. Okay, and we are on the. Let me see, what is this one? 2016. 10-day letter.
So I added in, so this was the kicker, this was the hard part. Remember you asked me to go back and put the red and the blue so it matched what we did. So this first paragraph that we highlighted, I actually took that when Lisa and I went through it. We liked this little paragraph from the A2 sample, so that's what I noted.
Okay.
So then, you keep scrolling down because this one's a little bit of a beast. So then that's what the old policy had. This is what the new policy has. This was universal. So I mean, it's like the reason I didn't originally merge it is because it's like it's saying a lot of the same thing, but it's just literally using completely different words.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why
go back up a little right there.
I tried to.
Right there. Okay. So we had a 10-day letter, but we're saying 9 days, so that would become a 9-day letter.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we used to have because, I knew people that got the 9-day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm changing the 10-day letter. Draft 10-day. Let me just.
Rosanna, I'm linking in 3575, so just so you have the.
Oh.
I'm just linking it into our bottom deal so that you know it's the one that's going to go up.
Thank you.
And then, if you don't mind doing all the drive stuff that she asked.
I am working on that.
So this is a draft. Oh gosh, darn it. Draft, and this is a 9-day letter now. is it 30/50 is attendance. Oh man.
I know, I'm tired today.
Yeah, I just, whatever that was that I had a couple weeks ago, I did really well, and then I don't know, I have this up and down lingering.
I went home and went to bed at like 6 o'clock last night. I was so tired, like I just was not. So and then I woke up and got here at 6 this morning because I was like,
You slept the whole time?
I was so tired.
That's
I mean, I
good.
woke up a little bit and then got water and then actually went to my bed. But yeah, it was just like done. So
I'm glad you're able to sleep though. That was sometimes the hardest thing to be able to do when we need it the most.
I know. So I linked in all 7 policies, so they're
great.
there for you.
Okay, so back to 30/50. Oops, no. I was thinking about those kids that have to get up and be at school like by 7:30, and they always do that to the teenagers, and they're like the worst ones to do it to. They need to be at school at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning.
Well, and the what about all the kids that have to get to the bus super early and those poor guys. I'm just double checking again that this was all the same.
Oh, where did it put that letter? Oh, there it is, 90. Okay. So I'm going to change this now to 9. I wonder if anybody ever actually watches these videos. I know they watch the meeting videos. I'll have to go look at that at 9. Oops. Oh, I don't know if we have to do that for that, but
Okay. Oh, and the other piece that, just so you guys know, I did talk to Lisa about we're bringing the substance and alcohol abuse one.
okay.
And remember Michelle wanted specific questions about the annual training.
Oh, yes, right.
And so ISP is going to come every single year and do an annual training with administrators.
Oh, awesome.
Specific to just, some of the keen things that you'd be looking for or smelling or that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, good.
So that'll be good. Yeah. So I noted it on here, but
it makes me happy every time we read something in statute and then we actually implement it. I'm like, yay!
Yeah, for sure.
Well, then I think it should make the staff feel better too. That hopefully they see that the board really wants them to have as much training as possible.
Well, and
in all things.
And when there are things that they're responsible for, that they feel adequately prepared to handle it. I mean, that's the key thing, is that they're not being thrown to the wolves
without tools.
Right.
Yeah, do this, but figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out on your own.
Right.
That's not.
And it's always major things, It's like, no, we don't want them to figure out these things.
Well, and I think then people, they shy away from it because, I mean, if I didn't feel like I knew what I wouldn't touch it.
You wouldn't be confident in it, yeah. So that's good. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should talk about that at the meeting, the dyslexia training, and although the board really didn't have much to do with that, and I just think those are exciting things, but I don't know.
Well, we have on the board agenda, we'll have that informational doc, and so we could talk about the training that's coming up.
Yeah.
So, and just kind of what they're going to go over. I'm super excited. So,
some of that, I would be curious if some of that the public was allowed to participate in. I mean, I don't know what the rules would be around that, and if there was like a, I don't know, $10 fee or $25 fee or something for people to sign up under. That would be.
I'd have to ask
curious,
her.
yeah.
I can ask her.
Well, I mean, or if the district is open to that, you might want to run it by Lisa.
For
and
sure.
Brian and, you know, but I know a lot of times that some of the training, like the dyslexia training, like I definitely want to go to that because I'm interested in that,
totally.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll run it by Lisa and see if that's something, and then ultimately Dr. Brown would have to, because, you know, does she only present to a certain amount, like that kind of a thing. So, but yeah, I'll run it by everybody and just see if that's something. I don't feel like we'd have to charge parents per se, but it would just be if this is something that would be, it's informational. I mean, the other thing is we can ask her if she feels like what she would say to teachers looks a little bit different than parents.
Right.
We can even ask her, because she is going to stay that night, because she lives like 9 hours away. And so we're going to get her two nights. I mean, maybe we have a parent aspect of that for, you know, if she feels like she can't do it.
Right. And not every training is, some is, you know, definitely PD for what they're doing, and then but if there was other things that they typically would do, like I don't know about the ISP, but I know that the sheriff's department, sometimes some of their training is open. The public can pay $35 or whatever, and they could go to the training. Not all of it, but there are some things they can.
Yeah, because we're one of our breakout sessions on Thursday, so we're going to have that keynote speaker Thursday morning. And then we have a slew of breakouts, and they're just different things. Like we were going to ask Megan to come in, and instead of doing the annual admin, like here's what's up and coming with case law, we're going to have her gear it towards staff. That's what the principals, like the staff are asking. So what's up and coming that we should be aware of? Let's talk about social media, like some of that
awesome.
Stuff. And the old, when I first got hired, we had a lawyer, his name was Charlie, and he used to come and meet with all of us, and it was so helpful and super informational. So like we're gonna see if she'll be willing to do a breakout. ISP is gonna come and do what are the latest drug trends, what are the latest social media trends, what are, you know, because if you don't have kids, you don't. So just like we just tried to get a slew of topics. Like I think we have 12 to 15 topics at this point, and it's a breakout, so people can go to whichever one they want. But trying to have a wide span, not all of them being academics, but what are some of the things that you are dealing with or in the process of dealing with, or that it's going to come across, that we can help you just get as much information as possible.
And those things I think are extremely important for our community to understand how much we are investing in the people that they leave their students with every day, you know, or even the people that, you know, are huge proponents of public education. I mean, we have all such a mix in the community. I think those are really important, that people understand that it's not just.
I mean, we could do something once we finalize the agenda. We're still in the process of, you know, confirming with everybody. But we could, I mean, it could be something that we send out of. I think it helps because it's the transparency of, okay, we're shutting down for 2 days.
Right.
What does our PD actually look like? Is it just teachers getting the day off? I think sometimes people think that.
Right.
Or is it prepping? Like, but I mean, we do a lot. Like we bring people in. Like this is the time that we can do a lot with the whole staff. So these days are pretty filled up and they're pretty detailed. Awesome. But for transparency purposes, I think it would be helpful that we're like, this is what we're going over. This is what the teachers are being trained on.
And I think it gives the parents and the other people sort of a confidence, right? It's like, oh no, I know what my district's doing, and this is because it's right here. They just told me.
This is all the stuff that we're trying to cover. I'm super excited about this. And when we did our kind of systems check at the end of last year, like we put anything that we do from a system standpoint, we did an anchor chart and just say what's working, what isn't, what do you want to see different. And several administrators and directors just came back with, we want to hear from experts coming in talking about things, and not like, we don't want to do a video, we don't want to do a webinar, like we want it to be real life, so you know, it's not just a train the trainer type model. It really is, we're getting to hear from the experts. So that's what our focus has been. So I'm excited. It's going to be good.
Okay, well, I updated the letter. I just changed it to 9-day letter, a draft. Oh, and we were supposed to put a date on it, huh? Did we put today's date since this is when we're starting it, or did we
Is
put
this the one you're working on?
Yeah, no, 9-day. I made it's in the same directory, but I made a copy of it.
Okay.
It says 9-day. Oh, you have to go back to your drive.
Where is it?
It's in your drive, yeah. It'd be under 3050. Right down.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do anything except cross out the 10 and put 9.
And don't you think we would put our template or the top
Yeah,
of
all
our
that stuff.
template?
Yeah, I didn't know if this is a template that goes in some piece of software that automatically spits it out. That's why I didn't
It
update
typically
in
does.
that.
It goes into Skylard. It goes into Skyward.
Yeah. So, does it automatically populate like student's name and all that, or do they have to put this in every time? So I guess we could just leave all of this part alone, and then we just update the logo, basically.
Yeah, I think it populates, but I'd have to follow up and ask that question. I'm pretty sure it does, so.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want to mess too much with it if they're going to put it in the,
Yeah, typically it goes into Skyward.
And if it automatically spits it out, then I figured it would automatically be inserting all of that,
Yep.
so. The only part, and I don't know why it's in here, is this, if you scroll down a little bit there, Rosanna, right there. I just have issue with the whole,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to do with that, or just leave it, but it seems like it's a little threatening, or.
Yeah, I think it's trying to put some teeth to it for people that, when it's not an excused absence, I mean, that's what it's saying.
Right,
I mean, I think you could make it softer. You could just say something in Idaho, it is unlawful to allow a student to miss school when absences are avoidable, and I mean, the misdemeanor word sounds, but.
Or we could say something like, we would like to work with you to ensure that we are operating within the parameters of the law.
And just take out this.
Yeah, I'll just, which makes it a misdemeanor. Oh, I can't do that. Gosh dang it. Something like that. I know it's probably not. Let me just get this. No.
We would like to work with you to ensure, and I know the law, so we would like to work to ensure that we are operating within the parameters of the law, which Mr. absences. Do we have to put which makes it a misdemeanor? Could we just say we would like to work with you to ensure that we are operating within the parameters of the attendance? I don't want to call it the attendance law, but the attendance guidelines in Idaho statute.
You know, really guidelines.
So then you'd put a strike through in that top sentence too, where it says
Just
in
take this
Idaho.
out.
And then put a strike through at that one. In Idaho, the law makes it a misdemeanor.
Doesn't need
I don't know why my drink keeps making so much noise. We would like to work with you to ensure that we are operating within the parameters of the attendance guidelines, and I think that's better, don't you?
Yeah. Need all this. If we took all that out.
Yeah, that's just us trying to be fluffy.
Yeah. So then it would say, not, which can have a significant impact on a student's educational achievement and grades. If you feel there's information, I think this part needs to go before. What if I just cut it out?
Fill there, this is.
Yeah, if we go right here, no, up here. Let me get rid of this strike through area. What do you think? Does it flow better like that?
We would
or?
like to work with you to ensure that we are operating within the parameters of the attendance guidelines and the statute. If you feel there's a, yeah, that's way better.
Sort of flows better.
100%. Do you feel like it sounds professional to say feel free to give me a call, or should it say feel free to call the school? I mean, I know this because it's going to be signed by the principal, but it's a generated letter that comes from Skyward, so it should say Betty Kiefer, or I don't know.
Oh, on the bottom, what, it doesn't say their name?
It does.
Well,
but that's not who. I mean, it's not personalized by the principal per se.
No, I know, but it won't fill this part in to say so-and-so principal Betty Kiefer. This won't fill in automatically, or no?
I don't know. I have to ask that question.
Because it does make it seem very personal, like like call me personally.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, and it would typically be, it would be the admin assistant and and then they're setting up the meeting.
So you're saying, like, get rid of this.
Well, in the other paragraph, it just says, please call the school to schedule a meeting, or feel free to give me a call. I don't know, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I just feel like you're going to probably call an admin assistant. Not that they can't call.
So who would you, what would you prefer it say, call me? Or just leave?
I just think I like where it says, please call the school to schedule a meeting, and then we strike through, or feel free to give me a call, because we want there to be a meeting, so that the teacher's involved,
everybody's aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you think that flows better?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you say that, please call the school. If you feel there's information that would be helpful to us in assisting you with improving your student, please call the school to schedule a meeting. I'm confident we can find a solution. Do you need the bottom if you have any questions?
Yeah, that's why I started.
This letter, please call. Do we even need that?
No, I was going to take it all out.
Yeah.
Just because it just sounds too...
It's redundant,
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm confident we can find a solution is...
Yeah. A good ending.
Yeah. I'm just so stuck back up here. If we should say the state attendance guidelines or the guidelines.
Mm-hmm. We could say Idaho State Attendance Guidelines.
Yeah.
And you could just say in statute. You don't have to say Idaho statute. You could just say in, if you say Idaho at the front of that.
Yeah. I don't know. Would state be capitalized?
I feel like it would be.
Because it is the
Mm-hmm.
phrase.
And basically we are replicating this, or are we changing this? Like, this is letter 9, this is letter, we used to have it when I first started, we had different letters and they just got more.
Yeah.
But then we changed to just this because we're forcing a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we changed out, so instead of where it said elementary 9-day letter 8 at the top, it was just here is the attendance letter, and then we would make copies and change it depending on when those times were going to be set.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oops. Yeah, I don't know what the progression of, hey, you need to do something. I think it is appropriate when you get to a certain point, because here's the thing is now they're forcing the hand of the school. You have to report it now because it's becoming a truancy, right? So I think in those letters, as it gets to whatever the statute is with that attendance.
So I need to get a copy because I don't have access to any of those other letters, because we stopped them a while ago and then kind of just went to this like soft one, and then we started with a meeting, and so then there would be another letter that would go out and say, hey, we're at whatever, but different buildings were using different letters, so I need to get all of the attendance letters.
Yeah, and decide when they, or what Lisa and the admins, you guys' preferences are for doing this. I know they're trying to rein in the attendance because it sort of got loosey-goosey with COVID.
And I guess, I should say, there used to be, like, I could pull up in Skyward, and there were set letters that would go out. What we stopped doing kind of is we would send out this initial letter, and then there was a plan, and then because of that we stopped doing letters, and then it was when you hit a certain line, the principal's calling, when, you know what I mean? So we stopped with the letter side of it, so it was kind of this one letter. We have drafts of other letters, but we kind of stopped because then it was like, no, now the principal's getting involved, and so it's a direct contact, like, we're at 15 absences, we need you to come in and have a conversation. What can we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the policy, we probably need to delineate.
In a procedure, that would be a procedural piece to it, yeah. Or the procedural. I guess we can make a procedural. Does actually ISBA have a procedural piece to
I'll
their
pull it up right
attendance?
now. I didn't see one when but I haven't looked since I did this.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it might almost be
Well,
just an admin kind of thing.
Well, if you look at the very bottom of, you're looking this up. If
That's
you look
fine.
at the bottom of this policy that we're messing with right now, while Rosanna's looking that up, ISBA. So go to the very bottom.
Okay, on the letter or the actual 3050 policy?
The 3050. So we
yeah,
actually did try to kind of somewhat do a procedural thing.
Okay, yep.
But if you notice, that's really geared towards high school.
Right.
So, and I put it in here because there's parts of it that I think are good, but
Yes.
it's, are we gonna have is there an elementary procedure, middle school and high school? Because even at middle school, it's only 8th grade where you can withhold credit. For 6th and 7th grade, you can't.
Well, I think on the diagram where it says no petition filed, but it goes to the withhold credit, I think that's where now your flow splits. If this, then this kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I think so because.
So is this still the policy?
This is what they have.
Yeah. Well, and it's all the different drafts.
Yes.
Yeah. Will you go to the keep going, scrolling through, because if they have a procedure, it's always, yep, it's done. So they don't have a procedure. I didn't think they did.
It's sort of, I think, in their policy.
Right. Which is the one that we have. I just went with version 3.
Okay.
So this is whatever.
This is version 4, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because see right in the middle, I mean, that's sort of the procedural part of a policy.
And all of them are like that.
Yeah, okay.
Because look at in ours, the one that I did the draft
and maybe that's why it's so long and
it
we
will
should
say
cut
after
that
5
off.
absences, after 7 absences. So, I mean, and that's the part where I was like, oh, we're mixing, But
yeah, so I would say...
Will you go into just our draft, the 3050 one you have up right there? Right there, yeah. Yeah, keep scrolling down. Cause see Ramona, keep going.
Yeah, I was looking at this.
Go up, it's higher. It really does.
Page 2.
Keep going, yeah. Up.
It's at page 2, yep.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's a procedural,
right.
What you do.
Yeah,
after 5, after 7, after the 10th.
So I would think that we just pull that out and create a procedure with those headings, day 9 absences, 10-day absence, whatever the, so we are sticking with the 10-day limit. So are we sticking with a 9 or a 10-day?
I don't know, I just told you what they put in there.
Okay.
We can do whatever we want, I think, so.
And what is the, I know the statute has a, let me go back there. 33.
Compulsory attendance at school. That one.
Yeah.
Rosanna, I'm gonna take this part out really fast. This whole the general is best served by regular. A student will be allowed. I'm gonna take all of these out. Are you guys good with it if I just completely take it out?
I think it was part of the original policy, right? So.
Yep. Do you want me to leave it in here?
Copy it. Strike it through after you've put it into a procedure. So leave it stricken, but then make it.
Okay. Yep.
And that will shorten our policy, which is another thing that the parents requested. Okay, let's see.
Okay. We just have to make sure, Rosanna, so remind me if we end up making a change to any of this, we have to change it to the procedure too.
All right.
3050P.
Yeah, it's in there now. I'm adding it right now.
Okay, so when does it become truant? It just says you have to go to school. Exemption for cause.
I don't think I'll forget, but just remind me if we do make changes that I do it on this one too. Stupid.
Do we have 204 listed on there? Yes, exemption for cause. Okay.
Because what we could do, that actually would be nice. Do I really have to do it all?
Man, here was that. So here's and I think we already passed that. What was the policy we just did with the firearm
30-50?
language?
3330.
Yeah, here's that. This was the statute I was looking for because we need to put 33205 at the bottom of that because that was it's sort of hidden, but it has to do with a student bringing a deadly or dangerous weapon or firearm on school property.
And 3330 is coming up for the 17th because remember we added that one little piece. So, are you going to add the reference?
I can
Okay.
do that, sure.
Okay.
And we probably need to let Michelle know that too.
We'll have to highlight that part in red.
Yeah. Because it says, provided, however, the board shall expel for school for a period not less than a year, or may deny enrollment to a student who's been found on school property or any state, but the board may modify any such expulsion or denial of enrollment requirement on a case-by-case basis when the board determines reasonable conditions apply and the student's presence is not detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of other students, or they have a disability, a 504, blah, 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 it goes on. So even though the law says you must do this, then the state law says, and the federal law says that the state law may do that, the board doesn't have to
You have.
expel or suspend, or they don't have to.
You guys have the authority.
Right. But I don't know that we cited that on the bottom of that. Like if the kid's out hunting and they forget their hunting rifle in there or whatever, I think sometimes they're just afraid to being late to school or they just throw a coat over it thinking it'll be fine. But in that instance, we don't want to expel somebody, I wouldn't think, for a whole year,
I'm just going to add our, what I just added to our policy deal because now we have a procedure as well. And then I need to add your draft of your letter too, right, Ramona?
Yeah, if we're going to go to 9, I guess it could have stayed a 10-day draft, but that's why I got sidetracked here on the 205.
Oh, you know what? It is a reference on there already.
Oh, it is good. Okay.
33205. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Then I don't
We
have to
didn't miss
worry.
it.
Yay.
Okay, I'll add your draft letter onto our policy doc too so that we, when we bring this back up and I duplicate it, we have both. I'm talking to myself.
Yep, nope, you're fine.
Okay, where's your draft? Elementary letter.
Okay, so there is nothing. Interesting. So how many hours would 9 days be? How many instructional hours? Because that's what we have to go by, right? It is that 10%? Where were we at? 90% attendance, right? Wasn't that
that's what it used to be, 90% attendance.
Wasn't that the goal, or?
Yeah. Is the intent to have 10 on a regular basis?
So does I sort of went off of this. So we have to change our 10 days to 9 days then in order to meet the 90%?
If that's what the rule we want to stick with. Remember, blue was what was in our old policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when I talked to the principals, what they said, again, I only talked to high school because that's where the meat comes in.
Sure. Yeah.
Specific to, they used to, so again, nothing about necessarily a letter per se, but if there was unexcused at 6 absences, one of the high schools said this is when it worked the best. At 6 absences, they were calling the parent and just saying, hey, can you come in? Can we meet with you? Something's going on. What can we do to help? It was super proactive. At that 9-day mark is when they petitioned for credit to be removed until the parent came in and started working with them and figuring out what the plan was. So kind of still sticking to that 90% rule.
So 6 days.
Is when they did, and again, not necessarily a letter per se, but that's when they felt like they didn't wait till the 9 days. They were proactive and started being preventative at 6 absences. And that's when they felt like it worked the best.
Okay, so let's do this.
That's what's so hard about this one is, what do we decide?
Here's the thing, it's red in the red, so I'm just gonna underline it and I'm gonna put a what was it, the high school?
And this one specifically, part of our, I get that everyone gets the Skylar, but I will bring this up in our admin meeting. If we have a draft and have principals really give feedback to it.
Yeah, so the other thing is we're gonna need 6, 9, need to decide what is truant. What was it, 33, 206, 207, and I think 202. Come on. 206 and 207. to say high school? Oh, I see, any, okay. Is this correct, 46 credits?
Yeah, but Lisa, one of her, she said 60% is current passing grades. Where on here it said
65 is mastery, which I never knew 65 to be mastery in anything.
Exactly, but again, this is what ISBA put.
Right, I mean 80 is typically mastery. And so
Yeah,
what?
'cause I'm not sure 70 shows that you have adequate understanding of the concept.
Right, right. I mean, that was always the rule of thumb, you know, ancient of days when I was involved was 80%. I know my own students didn't move anywhere until it was 80%. We can't always do that here. Yeah, didn't we? So how is our graduation requirements written right now in policy? Because I know that we did not stick to the state minimum. We went above that, if I remember correctly.
It would be under instruction, I think. It's 2700 or 2700p.
So they didn't cross-reference any, so they have a legal reference, but they didn't cross-reference,
On 2700, there's a lot of cross-reference.
They didn't do that on any of these, okay. So let me pull up one of these other ones. That one's not good either. I just need a policy that references other policies so I can see how we've done it in the past. Because we probably should reference the truancy policy at the bottom.
Of this one.
Yeah, of this one.
And that one would be under students.
Yeah, and we might need to look at that and make sure that they all go together. You know, that they're. Or that
Where are you seeing the truancy policy?
On our website, it's
Which policy?
3040 compulsory, compulsory attendance.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Isn't there something specific, like 3040 doesn't necessarily say truancy?
Yeah, that's weird, huh? That's not a yeah, and that's just a 3040 would be something we should reference at the bottom. They should both reference each other actually, 3040 and 3050. Yeah, I thought there was a truancy, but I guess not.
That's what I said. 33206.
Yeah, I don't see anything labeled truancy.
Well, there is statute around it, so
yeah, I got the statute.
it's 33206.
Yeah, 202, 206, and 207 all, but it just says that whatever the board deems truant is truant.
Isn't that part of the discipline one? I feel like we went over that.
I think sort of reference each other. Oh, and they don't have 206 in here either.
On this draft.
Yeah, they don't reference habitual truant defined 33206.
I'm gonna add it right now.
Okay, thank you. I have too many windows open. I'm actually getting lost.
Can somebody yell out what the actual title is? I just got out of it.
Yep, sure.
Isn't it habitual truancy?
Defined. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Habitual truant defined.
Okay, it's added, so it has 202, 204, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to close the 9-day letter. Because I guess the thing is with the, along with, six, okay, this is when we just added this.
Well, I just feel like what we really have to decide is what's gonna, I mean, this will all feel better once we decide what our process is gonna be, don't you think?
Well, that's it, yeah, because it's totally different from, like you were saying, elementary to high school.
Right.
I mean, it's...
So maybe this is a discussion item on the board agenda, because we can't write policy until we know what people want, like, what's gonna be the meat at elementary, what's the meat at 6th and 7th, and then is the only meat we have at, and meat's a bad word, but you know what I mean?
Right.
What's the meat at
the
secondary outside of just credit?
Yep.
I mean, so I kind of feel like we stop here.
Okay.
And have a discussion with the board and make it, can we add it to the agenda and just say attendance policy discussion through the lens of elementary, 6th, 7th, and then 8th through 12th, don't you think?
I agree, yeah. And the other piece, Rosanna, if you can make a note in that discussion, because I don't want to forget it. The other piece is I think it's very pertinent, and the responsible thing to do is to allow the parents to know that they literally by law can, what was that, was it 233.2, let me go back there.
You're talking about 33-207, proceedings against parents or guardians?
No, 204, exemption for cause. Because I do know in the past, just simply because, you know, as life goes on, I'm not necessarily that familiar with people that have students. I guess I have a few that in the district right now, but I'm not sure that the parents understood that there was, if they had a student who actually had medical issues, you know, ongoing, that they could have been...
Right, it can be excused.
Right, yeah.
We actually have a specific classification for it, just so that, like, and I can speak for Betty Kiefer, like, we made parents aware of that, and so they would call, and they don't have to give you all the details, but if they would say that, you know, like, it's because of, and we just coded it so it was automatically excused. But you have to keep track so that you know who's in the building, but it didn't go under an unexcused.
Right. Well,
but letting parents know that.
Yeah. But according to the statute, that's all supposed to come to the board, and the board makes that decision.
So what does that mean? Like,
so if the child, well, what it says is that, so the exemption part is if a physician, psychiatrist states in writing to the board of that school district that there's a physical, mental, emotional, whatever, which does not permit attendance at school, and a petition is filed with the board by the parent or the guardian requesting the child to be exempt from the provision of 202, the board may at its discretion grant the requested exemption during the existence of the condition, the board may, from time to time, as it may determine, require additional examinations of the child and a report. So the board needs to be made aware of those issues, and I think.
But are you made aware of it, or are you giving approval?
Because, well, we're getting approval,
right.
So it needs to be.
Because that's never happened.
Right. Because I do have a family member who had been, had different medical issues from the time of birth, and I'm almost positive they never knew this existed because they were highly affected by it.
And so then did they get penalized?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so we probably need to add something in there because the process now is, I mean, if a parent comes in like specifically any kind of medical 504, any kind of medical IEP, we will ask that question and then we exempt them from the get-go. Like, so all the parent doesn't have to give an explanation. They just have to say like, because, whatever our code is, I can't remember what it is, and it's a done deal. Like, we don't question it because the child has, like, we have documented. So that's typically what the process has been. It's never gone in front of the board. It's like if they had documentation,
is it different because that's an IEP versus let's just say a kid broke his leg?
We do it with a 504. A broken leg would be, if they have if you have ongoing doctor's appointments, we don't count it. I mean, that's where we're pretty people have counselors. So we excuse it. We don't, because that's not the kid's fault. It's not like they're making a choice. And really the penalty comes to the unexcused. It's really when the parents, because again, if a parent is saying they're sick, like we're calling to work with them, but they're not getting penalized if the kid is sick or going through stuff,
Yeah, I think as long as the parents know that and they don't feel like they are being because this was an issue, a typical kid thing. Well, there were other issues that allowed a compromised immune system, basically, and then the kid got mono, and then mono turned into this lifelong immune.
And typically, when that happens,
issue.
We're working because you'll get the doctor. There will be a doctor's note saying that because of this, and so then we work with those kids and we work with that family.
Right.
But if we are going to have that, is it we're bringing it to the board and you guys are giving permission, or is it a notification to you that this is what we're excusing,
Yeah, well, this particular instance, now I think the IEPs and the 504s and all that, I think that's sort of its own world.
Yeah, it's a given kind of.
Yeah, but this is basically
the outlier.
Like in my instance I'm familiar with, there's some others, but like the sick part would be, a month, a whole month, and like maybe the parent was running back and forth trying to get the work, but the student was incapable of doing it because they were bedridden. Like
we had a situation where we had a little guy that he was a 5th grader. This was like a couple years ago. Anyways, it ended up having mono, but like it impacted his brain. Like it was a super big deal, and so couldn't start school initially because of all the compromise. He was in the hospital. He was in the hospital for a long time. Well, so like in that situation, it wasn't an ongoing kind of thing, but we immediately put him on a 504 and we put him on a medical plan. So in the duration of that time, we had documented because we had to meet with, like, there were certain things that we had to do specific to like screen time and going outside, and so we just wrote a medical plan. The nurse was there, and then so that it wasn't an automatic excusal. And he left like for the first 2 or 3 weeks when he came back to school. He would leave at like 10 or 11 because he couldn't sustain the day. You know, because he would get really tired. So we wrote all of that in based on, like, we talked to his doctors from one of the hospitals in Spokane, and that this is what can happen. So we wrote that into a plan. So that's typically the process, because eventually he was fine and he didn't need the 504 anymore. But for the duration of time that he needed it, we put him on a plan. So that everybody was clear. We were,
right.
So a lot of those kinds of situations, it would eventually, we try to push it to that so that there is some legal requirements to safeguard the parent and the student.
Yeah, and then everybody's aware of what's happening.
Yeah, I
and,
mean, that would be
you
my
know.
push when you have those circumstances. You move it there, and then everybody is doing their due diligence to do right by and safeguard.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to this, so I do agree with just having the discussion and then we can get Lisa's input and other people's input if they have it to what is this going to look like, and are we going to make, I don't know that we need 2 different policies. I mean, we might need 2 different policies, I'm not sure, and cover the 8th grade with the high school and then the 7th
K7
in an elementary
setting.
Because there isn't
the
any
teeth are not the same.
It would have to be something else,
right. Well, and I think, I mean, from a principal standpoint, I think it would be really nice to define, like, okay, are we doing letters? Is it an email? Is it a phone call? Like, really defining, okay, when we hit the 6 absent mark, is it a phone call or is it a letter? I'm always about, I think you can follow up with a letter, but I think the personal, hey, I'm concerned is way better. But like really defining, because then it's a process and everybody's following, like it's step 1, step 2, when you hit these various marks, like I think that would be helpful to ensure implementation.
Yeah.
And then I do think having a caveat to, if it's a medical 504, like we don't have to go into great detail, but putting that disclaimer
here are the
in
options
there.
Here's what it could be or what it could look like. Right.
And when you have, because when if you're going to have something that's going to persist, and we did this during COVID, but if it's something that's persisting over a course of beyond 2 weeks, we probably need to figure out what we can do, because that kid's not going to be able to come back and just pick up where they left off. So then how do we help? How are we supporting that kid to get them caught up? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to just pop back in and
and some of that's probably more it all sort of meshes together. There's a big admin piece I could see that spawns off of it now, maybe becomes more specific, like you're saying, if it's a sickness, okay, let's work toward 504, and then everybody in the district understanding that that's the way they're going to go if they don't understand that already.
This is a big one.
Yep.
So would you like me to add then a discussion item, Ramona, then? And say attendance at schools, and then include the Idaho Code 33204?
Yeah. And it might, I guess it could just be administrative direction. I don't know that we would, I'm trying to think of any issue that may arise where we need to take action. Like if we end up having to take action on something, I want to.
We do have possible action item from discussion. We do have that category, so we can always, at that point, you guys can say we're going to do something.
Okay, that would be good.
So administrative direction for attendance at schools, is that how you want to phrase it, or how would you like that?
Just a discussion about the attendance policy. And I think with everybody chiming in, it's going to be, everybody sort of has their piece and their input,
And did you want me to include the Idaho Code 33204 as an attachment, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we could actually include 202 through 207.
Okay.
Because that's really the kicker. Ultimately, we take the feedback, but it's still the board's got to decide what is it going to define truancy as.
And at what point is it going to come to the board? And the other kicker, again, this is why this is so meaty, is there a situation where you will look at excused absences, because it's not a consecutive excused absence, it's I'm calling in sick, my parents approved it, but it's every Friday for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
every day before the official holiday, so it's a 4-day weekend. Yeah.
And it's excused, I mean, because that does happen, so how much teeth are we putting to this, recognizing that kids are going to get sick. January and February are terrible. We send kids home if they have lice. Kids can't come to school if they're throwing up. They can't come to school if they are have a fever.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have kids, if you have more than one, sometimes you go through round 2 and 3 with that. So
yeah. I guess the board they just probably need just the input from the admin, and their part is, you know, deciding, because I'm sure admin has their, you know, input as far as like the 6 days, 9 days, 10 days, you know, is it 65%, 60%, is it?
I think it would be good for the board to kind of chime into what they're kind of thinking, and then we take it to the admin and just saying, okay, here's a draft of a procedural, what are we missing? You know what I mean? And again, through the lens of K7 and then 8 through 12.
Yeah.
But this is the other kick, 8 through 12 is really just, we're talking about Algebra 1. So we could say K8 and then Algebra 1, and because that's the only thing that you really can do credit would be Algebra 1, that's it. And it's only if you're on the advanced track.
Do you want me to include this draft then as well?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, since that's the one that we've been working off of, or working with.
So then just Roseanne, on our follow-up, you already added draft 14, 15, 3320, and 3330. You already have that added.
On there.
So we're gonna add 1303, 4175, 3575, and I added them to our board consideration doc, and I linked in the right ones for you.
Perfect.
And then we'll add this whole attendance discussion. Right? So policy-wise, that's all. We've covered everything.
1303, 4175, 3575, and then I'm creating a discussion item on this one here.
Yeah, and we can just talk about 3575 was really 3275, but we're making it match because of the annual notice, so that it's one and the same. I can't find any policy, but I just got a text from somebody asking specific to, sorry, I'm trying to get to it.
No, you're fine.
We don't allow emotional support animals, right? We only allow.
No.
That's what I thought. We don't have a policy on that. We just have the.
We did have one, but it was inside of something else, because we worked on that with Chrissy.
But we don't allow it as of right now, right?
No,
We only allow for.
The legal ADA, which is, service animals.
Yep.
Yep, and they have to be ADA, whatever their guidelines are, and
that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check.
yep. And there is a policy.
Specific to the.
I wonder if I have it in the email.
the noises. I'm trying to find the policy we have specific to service animals.
Yeah. Sometimes everything just runs together in my brain. Because I'm trying to remember if
It's 2375 service animals in schools.
oh, okay.
I was like, I know we have a policy on that.
Yep.
But it's specific to service animals.
Yes. Yep.
And it's with ADA.
Yep. And I think we in there what was it, 2375? I think, is this a newer one?
Yep, we did it in 21.
Okay. And did we
we bolded where it says service animals are defined as dogs that are individually trained to do work or perform tasks for people with disabilities.
Yep.
So.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss something.
Yeah, I think we just took dogs whose sole function is to provide comfort or emotional support do not qualify. Other species, whether wild or domestic, are not service animals for the purpose of the regulatory. Miniature horses, although not included in the definition of service animal, are protected under ADA.
I like it. Well, is there anything else, or do you think we can shut it down?
Yeah, I think I'm good with that. I was trying to look back. I know they really want us to hurry up with the trained dog thing, but I mean, we're still getting legal feedback from that, and I think we're good. So that just turns into a discussion. We need to get more copies of the attendance letters, but then we need to decide
if we decide we're going to do letters every time, or is it a phone call? Is it a
or I think sometimes when it gets more closer to serious measure, that a letter's nice just as a CYA kind of thing.
Yeah, like
legally.
As a follow up.
Right.
Yeah, but that I feel like if we do that, I think then we're noting it's a phone call with a follow up letter, so that it doesn't feel so impersonal.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is sort of
recording. Sorry. I feel like I'm being bossy today. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.